Welcome to Reiki Cafe Radio. I am your host, Christine Renee, and I am super excited to have a guest on with us today. I have Melissa Rose, and she is a double board certified functional medicine practitioner, and she is my personal health coach. And I love what she is doing in the world when it comes to autoimmune recovery. And that is her business name, autoimmunerecovery.org. Definitely want to check it out if this is in your area of struggle. Like you need to contact Melissa. Like I have been on this 4-year healing journey with Melissa thus far, and I am so happy to announce that after working with her through my acuteness, I have now reached 40 days migraine free. I have not yet announced that to anywhere, but I am doing so much, not only in my autoimmune recovery, which is completely in remission. And if ever it gets even a little bit off, I know exactly what to do for my health and healing with the skills that Melissa taught me. So she is amazing. And we also knew that given time with a healthy gut, my migraines would also ease. My other areas of hormones and thyroid and all of the things would come into balance, and it all comes down to the gut. And so I'm really, really honored to have Melissa with us today. And what we're going to be talking about is really like, here we are, where we have an audience full of spiritual practitioners and healers, and going, where is it that we need to reach across the board and really have health experts work with us on the healing of our bodies. And so welcome, Melissa. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And congratulations. 40 days, no migraines. Oh, honey.
I think we need to preface it like when I first met Melissa, I was getting 6 to 8 migraines a month. Right. So like my life was a debilitating mess between my migraines and my gut not working and I remember running to I remember being at the crossroads the day before everything shut down in for the pandemic, and going, I can go to the emergency room and I can have them treat me yet again and it not work long term, or I can take the money, which it would cost to go to the emergency room, and give it to Melissa and commit to my healing long term. And I'm so ever so grateful that I made that choice that day to come into your office, sign that contract, and say yes to my healing. And I was still doing Reiki every day. I was still doing the healing practices, but it was the missing piece. And I really believe the reason why is that our bodies hold our trauma in our cells, right? Yes. So we're working as spiritual healers in the energetics, but our body is keeping the score, right? And so we need to allow our body to have a way to find its own release and its own healing.
Oh my goodness. You just spoke so much truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I would love to know, I would love to give people an idea of first, what is functional medicine? Because I think it's the new future of medicine. I really do. And I really hope I hold that vision, like functional medicine should be primary care providers. So what is functional medicine to start with? And what do you focus on?
Oh, I love that question. So functional medicine is really looking for what are the rocks in the road for your body? What is triggering imbalance in your body? What is actually causing the symptomology that you're experiencing? What's making the symptoms happen? What's making the migraines happen? What's making your periods go all weird? What's making it so you only go to the bathroom once a week if you're lucky? What's causing, maybe running to the bathroom 5 times a day? What's making your joints hurt? What's making, any number of like foggy brain, not being able to roll out of bed and be ready for the day, but just be so achy and tired the whole day? What is actually causing this? So with functional medicine, we're looking for those triggers. We want to see why. And my poor mother, my favorite word growing up was why. And I wasn't trying to be a snarky little whatever. I really wanted to know. And that's still my favorite question. Why? And really, that's what functional medicine is really turning over all the clues, seeing what's making them happen, what's making your symptoms happen, and then addressing those using food, lifestyle shifts, mindset shifts if needed, and food-based herbals or homeopathics to really help your body make that shift.
I love that. I love that. And I feel like oftentimes our Western medical, the industry itself is really trying to take everything apart. Okay, we have here's the brain, that's one aspect, you have your gut, and then you have your heart health, and then you have your pancreas, and like they try to divide it all. And what I find in functional medicine is that they're looking at you holistically. And so now my curiosity goes to what's the difference between naturopathic medicine and functional medicine? Because part of it is my confusion on my part. Like, I know I get better care with functional medicine, and the naturopath is still like it's not leveled up enough. But that I couldn't break it apart to go, what's the difference?
Oh, so I have been asked this question multiple times, and I struggle with answering it as well. Because for me, I'm looking for concrete whys. So for a naturopath, it's a little bit different. Like the viewpoint of how to look at a client and how to look at their bodies are a little bit different. And it's not as depending on who you're using though,
Right.
because I've met some amazing naturopaths that can just, I mean, the care they give their clients is astounding. However, the basic premise is a little less concrete, if that makes sense.
I feel like they tend, like from my own experience of trying to work with probably a dozen different naturopaths over my adult life, that they're still symptom oriented.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I have a migraine, they're going to go, okay, well, there's the migraine. What do we need to do to fix the migraine? Let's get you high doses of magnesium. Let's do, and they're not actually bringing it down to, oh, your gut has a bunch of holes in it, which is
Yeah.
disrupting the system, like it,
Seriously. Yeah.
right. So it's still that I feel like the naturopaths, at least the ones I've worked with, they just want to give the remedy and have it and like
That's
hope that
true.
it works, right? And so there's still the remedy is still better than Western medicine oftentimes. Like I think Western medicine is great for acute care,
Mm-hmm.
and naturopaths are better at the, you know, having the remedies that's at least healthy and productive, but then they're
Mm-hmm.
still oftentimes not doing the time investment of investigating the why. And
Yeah.
one of my favorite things about what functional medicine does is they look at your blood work in a
Oh,
different
huge.
way. I would
Yeah.
love for you to touch on that, because for me that knowingness that when we get a lab back from the hospital that says you're normal,
Yeah.
and that's so different from when I was working with functional medicine, where it says, well, that just because it's normal doesn't mean it's optimal. What's optimal for your body? And that was a huge game changer for me, just to have this understanding that normal is not normal for me.
Exactly. And so when I'm looking at blood work, so I'm just going to use a kind of a review from a client that I just brought into the practice. So she only had like one or two markers that were flagged. One was high, one was low. And she is really ill. Like she can barely get out of bed in the morning. She's in intense pain. Her body is like pretty severely malnutrition simply because her body is not being able to break down the nutrition that's needed. But her blood work, her normal yearly blood work, she's only got one number in the red on the top and one number in the red on the bottom. And that's really around her liver function, of course. But by going through, I can see where, just like you were saying, what's optimal and what's not, and get some very good clues around what's working and what's not for her body. Another thing that I love, love, love to do is start there and then follow the clues out and use functional testing. So things like food sensitivity testing, a really deep gut study, looking at the cells. Are the cells actually uptaking what they need? Like we've got her slated for all of those testings that are like, that's going to unwrap the package for me so I can really understand what's going on for her.
Yeah, and the fecal testing too, because
That's
I think
huge.
that was huge for me just to
Yep.
go, oh, well, guess what? Since your gut has literally everything possible wrong with it, it's probably because your stomach isn't fighting off those
Yeah.
pieces. And I remember, so Melissa is an autoimmune expert. And so when I was coming in for autoimmune, I was not expecting to hear, oh, your stomach's not functioning. You don't have enough
Right.
acid, right? Like that was not, that was completely unexpected. I'm like, well, it should be working. Like, why isn't it working? And that was a huge aha moment of going, you're not producing any stomach acid. Why aren't you producing? Here's that why again. Why aren't you producing
Why?
stomach acid? Oh,
Yep.
because if you had chronic years of a decade more of stress, that's why your stomach's not producing. It's just allowing everything in the parasites, the C. diff, the E. coli, all of it was there. And I'm going, oh, so I just needed to work on my stomach acid. Like it was just such a conversation that you wouldn't have with a naturopath or a Western medicine doctor, right? And
Yep.
I'm like, I was instantly sold because I saw the level in which you were an investigator. Like you geek out when you didn't have an answer. Like she was geeking out on me. And I felt so cared for because you were like, it wasn't like a murder mystery. And she was investigating all of the different clues. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is always the care that I wish for patients, right? To have this deep interest in what is going on with your biology, with its functioning, what's showing up where. And
Yep.
that had seemed so void in my previous experience working with healthcare professionals. And so, one, thank you so much. And for
Oh,
giving
my
me
pleasure.
right? It gives me a template to hold people to a higher standard now. It's like really hard for me to work with a non-functional medicine practitioner at this point because I'm like, you're
Sorry, I spoiled you.
well, and there was that piece of going, I'm in the thick of it. Like I'm really how to do some deep healing work and just to be able to message you and have a response in a timely way or a text message back and going, this is what you should eat today. And I was like, that was just mind blowing.
It's so
And
simple.
it's so simple. Just give me 2 minutes of going, this is where I'm struggling with. You have the answer. Just provide me the support that I need. And so I just
Yep.
love, and I think that also helped me develop my own programs of going, this is how people should be responded to. They should be responded to quickly. They should be responded with care. They should be responded with certainty and holding space for that person and wherever they're at. And so even though I was going through tremendous healing myself, I also was learning how to be a better practitioner. And Melissa gave me such a beautiful template for that I love so much. So one, like, thank you there. And I would love to also go into how did you get into focusing on autoimmune? Because it really seems like this is your focus and this is what you're
Mhm.
really good at.
I have this crazy belief that our bodies aren't broken. We're not broken, really. Just there are parts and pieces of us that are kind of off track. So let's figure out what's causing the off track piece. And and it doesn't have to be this big scary thing to figure out because our bodies, yes, they're complex and they're beautiful and I love digging in and learning. I'll probably do that until I'm dead. But we can know like the basic tenets of what our particular beautiful body needs to be well can be really, really simple. And I think I learned, well, I know I learned that in my own recovery journey from multiple sclerosis because, being well and continuing to be better, I have basic tenets that I do for myself every day there are triggers that I look for that I'm, if I start to see this, I know I need to perk my ears up and see where I'm falling down in taking care of me. But it's really quite simple. And the body can recover to a state that I never expected for myself. Like to be able to, like this weekend, we hiked 10 miles. I usually, I'm not a big workout girl. I spend a lot of time in my office chair because I love what I do. And I could do it, and it was hot. And you know what? I'm sore, but I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I love that you have your own healing story. And it's inspiring because, the medical model says MS is not curable. There is no long-term remission. And you're not the only one in my life who's like absolutely in remission and can find those places of triggers and just respond to the trigger to bring yourself back into balance.
Exactly.
Right. And so
Exactly.
I love bringing this conversation forward to the spiritual community because oftentimes we're doing one side of the work. We're doing the spiritual work. We're connecting with our guides. We're connecting with energy. We're connecting with
Yeah.
the etheric, but the density of our physical bodies, like this is our human suit. And how
Mhm.
can we approach it as a temple? How can we approach it as this is my beautiful container in which I chose to come in with?
Yeah.
And it is responding to all of the years of trauma, of the years of stress, of the years of whatever. And so there's the
Yeah.
physical component, the emotional component, and the spiritual component. And if we catch it beforehand, like if we take a teenager, if we take a young person without health issues and they have that spiritual connection, the trauma isn't going to go to the body, right?
Yeah.
But it has
Yeah.
to move in through, okay, the spirit is going to try to get our attention. And when we don't listen to that, it's going to
Yeah.
move into the emotions. And then the emotions are going to be screaming at us and triggering us. And if we ignore those and push those down, then it moves into the physical body. And then the physical body is going to hold on to those triggers, stressors, becoming
Mhm.
autoimmune until you address it the way we do backwards. So we have to honor the physical body. We're
Yeah.
saying, all right, these are the foods that we are now hypersensitive to. These are the places in which I have reactions.
Yeah.
And how can I be gentle and give myself that radical self care to say my body is worthy of healing? It's not
Yeah.
broken, it's trying to communicate something with me. And then we bring it into the emotions and have that somatic release. We let go of the trauma, we let go of the past, we release the attachment to it. And then we can work out in the spiritual of understanding what was the lessons and learnings of that experience.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I love that you brought in the whole picture because often, and this is just from clinical observation, often we start with the body because that's screaming the loudest, right? That's
Right.
what's making it so we can't get out of bed. That's what's, the symptoms are so big that they're impacting our ability to just do life, right?
Right.
And so we often start there. But as we're doing our recovery journey and as we're peeling away the layers that need attention are not just body layers. It's the emotional piece, it's the spiritual piece. And often, as the body is recovering, those pieces in kind of the other layers that are connected to that body piece will come up. And I love being able to bring in Christine for stuff like this because I can help and create a safe space to a degree, but then it's like, okay, I need to bring in an expert in the emotional space, in the energy space, in the spiritual space. Because to bring about full recovery when we're helping the cells recover, I'm glad we're going to cellular because when we're helping the cells recover and release toxins, viral components, bacterial components, parasites, you name it, whatever's there in the way. And the body is starting to move that and release that. And the cells are starting to gain in energy. then they get to the place where they're strong enough to handle the components that are connected to that memory, the trauma, because those pieces of toxicity and imbalance have strings. I like to think of it as strings connected to happenings, memories, things that have happened, exposures, things that were maybe not big T trauma,
Mm-hmm.
but little T trauma, that there's nothing little about it.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So accepting the fact that our bodies are so multifaceted and multi-layered, and really, like when you're doing the energy work and you're really working on the spiritual side and working through the emotional space and the body is still stuck, understanding that what you are doing is not wasted. Oh my gosh, it's huge. It's a major component in your healing journey. But bringing in the body piece just kind of completes the picture.
Yes.
So please don't stop doing what you're doing. It is huge.
Yes, absolutely. And, when I was going through my own healing process, I noticed the reflection of what I was doing physically and the reflection of what was going on in the spiritual realm. So, like, for example, having parasites, when I recognized that there was parasites going on, I could go, what parasites are in my life? What's
Mhm.
stealing my energy?
Mhm.
Where are there possible intrusive entities attached to me that's stealing my energy? And so I could go down this metaphysical rabbit hole and evaluation of going, how is this energy showing up in my life? Where are the energy vampires still showing up in my life? So I can say not only, no, I'm no longer
Mhm.
available to have physical parasites that can be documented, but I'm no longer available to have energy vampires in my life. I'm no longer available to have intrusive energies from the spiritual fourth dimension come in and steal my energy. And so I remember not only working with you, but then bringing in a shaman, one of my mentors, who did a
Mhm.
huge energy release session for
Mhm.
me at the same time. So my body, my emotions, and my spirit were all doing the work collaboratively.
Mhm.
And it was amazing. And I just wish that having that recognition that they're all interdependent and interconnected, and going, if we're only focusing on one, we're not going to have the success to the degree that we'd like if we're only hyper focused on one.
I love that. Yeah. I love that you leaned into really taking stock about what is stealing, like what was stealing your joy? What was stealing your peace? What was stealing your feeling of safety? You know?
Those are big questions,
Huge questions.
right? And so I think that's where people get scared. They're the and this is why it's so important to have practitioners that make us feel safe,
Exactly.
because oftentimes we're not given the opportunity to ask those questions and really have a space of self-reflection. So whether that's with a counselor, a coach, whatever, like, how can we recognize, okay, where is the energy vampires in my life? Who is stealing my energy? Where are the places and spaces that make me feel unsafe? What is that
Mhm.
in my relationships or in my marriage or in the situations? Or
Mhm.
maybe it even goes back further. I was telling a friend recently that, when I was raised as a girl in Portland, Oregon, where there was needles at the park and that there was pedophiles, stalking the neighborhood, like the safety in which I grew up lacked, just due to the location that I was in, a very urban area in the 1990s when there was a lot of gun violence and everything else, of going, my body isn't safe. And to have that kind of coded in me, and then
Mhm.
have other layers of
Yep.
situations, especially like women today, like, how many
Oh
of us
gosh.
have been sexually assaulted? How many of us have been molested? How many of us have been raped? How many of us have got all of these stories? And yet it's so taboo that we don't have a safe place to talk about it.
Exactly.
Right. And I see it where oftentimes when we have those deep traumas, they lead
Mhm.
to very specific autoimmunes,
Oh, yes.
right? So you start to see the patterns. We start to see the fibromyalgia show up with the sexual trauma. We get to see, like, it's so interesting to me. And I think since I see it from the spiritual lens, it's
Mhm.
really, I'm like, I bet you have a much bigger
Oh, yeah.
database of seeing how these are connected.
Yep. Oh, so I've been accepted into a doctoral program, and I already know what I want my dissertation to be on, and it's that.
Really? That's so exciting. Yeah.
Ah,
I think that's a great, well, I mean,
huge
like if
subject.
you're the investigator, this is something that needs to be investigated and shown to the world.
Yeah,
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 especially from the autoimmune lens specifically,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Because I've got the data to back it up, my clinical data. This person was diagnosed with XYZ, and this is in their past, and this is, it's it's huge. And I hope to goshness that it can open the eyes of not just all of us, you guys that are listening today, to really create space for you to think, okay, what if my body is really responding to this stuff? What if I have a chance to change this? Because that's the other piece. I don't want to just give the dark and dingy. I want to say, okay, and this is where they were able to recover to.
Yes.
Because, okay, so we do go down the rabbit hole, put all the numbers together. Sure, great statistics, whatever. But how do we create hope at the other side of that? Because when we work on all the pieces, just going back to this fibromyalgia piece, when we look at all the layers and all of the triggers and really delve in, and I'm thinking of one person in particular. She did the work. Oh my gosh, she did the work. She was one of the worst, if you want to say worst, fibromyalgia cases I'd seen. So many layers. But she was able to recover to the place where she didn't have to take pain meds anymore. Um, she was able to go back to teaching. She was able to, do a normal life. She's a grandma. She's got grandkids. She can run around and have fun with them, travel overseas. She never thought she could do that again. Um, it's just huge what we can do when we allow our bodies to talk to us and we hear all the layers and we don't shut them up.
Yes. That's it. When we don't suppress what our mind, body, or spirit is trying to communicate, and we start to open those flows and those channels,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the healing work resides. And I
Exactly.
love it. I love this work so much. So thank you so much for sharing with us today and all of the work that you do. I'm like, you've got a book coming. You're going to do this dissertation for the doctorate program. Then there's going to be this
Yes.
book and it's going to be amazing. So I'm so looking forward to watching you and your own professional development and craft because you keep expanding. I love what you're doing and all the collaborations that you have going on. Will you please let our audience know about your upcoming Healing Summit?
Oh, yes. So aptly named Reimagining Recovery. We chose that on purpose because to reimagine what this could actually look like for you. So we're gathering at least 20 practitioners, and Christine is one of our featured speakers that will be joining us. And thank you for doing that. I just love, love, love the pieces of wisdom that you bring. They're so awesome. But we're going to have a mix of different types of practitioners because what we want to do in the summit is really help to expand your vision of what recovery could look like for you and to introduce you to a rich mix of practitioners that know their stuff. They're good at what they do. And as you are walking through the summit with us and listening to the interviews and listening to the trainings, our intention and our prayer is that the seeds of hope, of recovery for you, can blossom and bloom and potentially meet practitioners that you're like, okay, I need to work with that one, and I need to work with that one, because this journey can sometimes be, especially when you've been at it for a while, can be confusing.
Well,
And
and it
especially,
can also
go
bring
ahead.
you to that place of despair. Like there is
Oh
no
gosh.
hope, right?
Yeah.
And there's no, oftentimes there's no good examples of people in recovery or in
Right.
remission that you can identify with. And so
Exactly.
being able to bring 20 practitioners who have their own healing stories, that in and of itself offers so much hope to the point that I'm getting goosebumps right now. And so I love that. I love that you are putting this together. Is there anything about the Healing Summit? So reimagining recovery.
Recovery. Hmm.
I love that. Reimagining recovery. Can anyone with an autoimmune, or is it a specific kind?
No, it's any autoimmune,
Okay.
or any chronic illness.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of times we get stuck and we really don't know if it's autoimmune or not. And I'm air quoting because, maybe your diagnosis wasn't technically autoimmune. We also love for anybody who's a caregiver to
Yes.
attend, especially if you say your wife has MS or your husband has, whatever it is that you are the caregiver. To really understand the parts and pieces that are going on can help you in making decisions with your partner to really explore what could actually help them fully recover. Because often in the recovery journey, it's the client and then their partner or their caregiver. So having them as a team and on the same wavelength is amazing.
Huge. Well, and also for healing practitioners, I think it's really good to
Yes.
have a database list of people to refer to
Oh, it's
and
huge.
to know people's area of expertise and what they excel at. Like I'm a huge proponent of making sure every person that I work with, especially if they have health issues, that we have a team set up. So
Yeah.
I love collaborating with counselors and doctors and healthcare
Hmm.
professionals because
Yep.
when you have that collaborative approach, the patient, the client is going to be able to have a much higher chance of recovery.
Exactly. Exactly. So our summit last year, this is something that we learned was we had quite a few practitioners who attended as, attendees and were able to meet other practitioners that they were doing just this. They were building their referral list. Who can I trust that really knows what they're doing? That, if this client's needs gets outside of what I feel I can handle, then who can I partner with and collaborate with to really provide exceptional care?
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Well, for our listeners out there, we're going to have the link to the Healing Summit in the show notes. We'll
Mhm.
also have information on how to connect with Melissa if you are interested in booking a connect call to see if she can help you with your own health issues.
Yeah.
And know that um, she's on Facebook Messenger because that's where I talk to her.
Yep.
So know that you're more than welcome to hit up her social medias. We'll try to include those in the show notes as well. And I'm just so grateful for what you do and how you bring practitioners together because it's profound. And I know for myself, like it was a huge turning point in my life. You'll always be that person who like helped me heal. And I just love you. Thank you so much.
Oh, right back at you, girl. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And until the Healing Summit, make sure you check that out and then we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much.
Take care.